Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is your host, Reese, with Zion Facts, coming at you one more time with another report. Listen, guys, this just popped up on me. I was actually getting ready to do my next reel on polygamy, since that's what we're talking about right now. And then I ran across this, and it really interested me. It's kind of sad to me, and some of it may be a little disturbing. And we're talking about incest, marrying your family, marrying your close family, and what happens when you do. I think a lot of times, it's something that is not practiced often now, but well, at least in America, but in some countries it's still practiced, and the results can be devastating. And I was going doing some research, and I ran across these videos, and it's a problem that they're having, I guess, with some of the Pakistan people, where 50% of them are marrying their first cousins, and it's causing a real problem. Not only that, I ran across a reel of just what happens in families, and how the genes, I guess, can deteriorate because of the closeness. Of the DNA. And I got the video that can explain it better. So I'm going to show some clips from that, and you can make some comments. So please, guys, when you come on in, hit the like button, make any comments. If you're hitting after I record this, still make comments. I'll come back and comment back, and also hit your notification so you know, guys, when I come on. And now, as we build the channel, we can discuss more. But this right here is something else. So please, we're talking about incest. We're talking about being with family members. So you may not want your children in the room with you. It's nothing bad. You know how I do. I try to keep it as family oriented as possible, even though some of the subjects are sensitive. Um, I try to keep it, on a good note. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen and let you listen to this clip, guys. And this is going to freak you out. I mean, to me, it was sad. It hurt my heart. And I didn't know this was going on, but this is things that's going on still today. So this clip is, I think, a few years old, but it's still going on in the country today. So take a look at this. And you guys just tell me what y'all think. Go ahead and make your comments, and we'll go from here. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and y'all take a look at this, and tell me what y'all think.
He was born with it because his mother and father are first cousins. More than half of British Pakistanis marry their first cousins. Tonight on Dispatches, the tragic consequences of a cultural practice that is devastating children's lives. Mohsin Akhtar is 17 years old and lives with his family in Bradford. He's the second of 6 children. He's blind, he can't walk properly, and needs round-the-clock care. Mohsin is losing his hearing. His speech is seriously impaired, and he understands little of what's happening around him. Mohsin is obsessed with the idea of driving, not realizing this will never be possible. Mohsin's younger sister Hina is 13. She's the Akhtar's 4th child. Her sister Zainab is 11. Both sisters have inherited the same disease as Mohsin. They can neither see nor hear. All three children have an extremely rare genetic disorder called mucolipidosis type 4. Their bodies cannot get rid of waste products properly, affecting everyday brain function from vision to movement.
क्या लेना है तो ये खानी है ब्रेड खानी है
Fatima is the youngest and healthy. She's 7 years old and has had to watch her siblings deteriorate over the years. So what's it like having two sisters? Is it fun? What's the best bit?
I play together.
क्या हुआ है
First cousins?
Yes, they told this is the
In Bradford, at the Akhtar family home, life is unbearably difficult. Mohsin feels constantly frustrated. His two sisters, Hina and Zainab, are unable to look after themselves, and their sight and hearing is getting worse. Their parents find it hard to come to terms with the idea that as first cousins, they pass down a gene that caused their children's terrible disabilities. What has the doctors actually told you about this? It told you that it could be anything to do with the fact that you two are first cousins?
Yes, they told this is a genetic disease, but I don't think this is right. But they told us. My other brother, he got married with her sisters. He got 5 children, all of them perfectly right. There's no disability with them.
मैं तो कहती हूँ अगर हम शुरू से इधर होते तो मेरे बच्चे इस तरह होने नहीं थे बच्चे नॉर्मल थे शुरू से और उनकी जो रूटीन थी बच्चों की वो ठीक नहीं थी कि हर वक्त बीमार 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 डॉक्टर के पास जाना चक्कर आ रहा डॉक्टर की दवाइयाँ दे दे के तो बच्चे इस तरह हो गए हैं क्योंकि बच्चे बिल्कुल नॉर्मल थे मैं तो अभी तक मुझे यकीन नहीं आता कि मेरे बच्चे इस तरह हो चुके हैं
Okay, I just want to stop this for a minute. As you see, they're saying that this is a genetic disease caused because they are so close. They're first cousins. And, sometimes, guys, when things, are presented to us, we sometimes don't want to believe it, but it does us no good to kind of not face whatever the problem is. We have to face it, and I know that these two are doing the best they can. I can't even imagine what they're going through when they have children that are in this condition that they have to wait on hand and foot day by day. But as you see, they don't want to believe the fact that because they are cousins, that this is happening. And this is happening a lot over there. So this is why still 50% of their people marry first cousins, even though they know that's a possibility that their children are going to come out like this. So it kind of just blew my mind when they were like in denial that, hey, it's not our genetics, it's medicine the doctor gave the kids. But if you recall, she said she was taking them to the doctor because they kept getting ill. So before they even saw a doctor, they were getting ill. And so I think, sometimes we have to not try to blind ourselves for what's happening. But play some more of this, and then I got another piece I want to play for you guys too.
क्या ब्लेम करना बस ये हमारी किस्मत में था ये आजमाइश
Some families call it fate. However, doctors are in no doubt about the cause. While an average children's hospital will see 20 to 30 different recessive genetic disorders over a decade, in Bradford, one children's hospital alone has seen 165. Consequently, Bradford NHS Hospitals Trust has initiated one of the world's most comprehensive studies, looking at the health of 14,000 babies over the next 20 years, at the same time establishing the full medical consequences of cousin marriage on children's well-being. Professor Marcus Pembry is a former government advisor on genetic health and a clinical geneticist.
For any particular gene, you get 2 copies, one from your mother and one from your father. If you have a single defective gene, or mutation as we call it, there's no outward manifestation. And this can just be passed from parents to children to children to grandchildren with no effect. It's only when both parents happen to be carriers, and then there is a 25% chance that a child would get the double dose. They have no normal gene and they suffer from the disease. First cousins share grandparents. And if you imagine that a rare recessive mutation, single copy in one of the grandparents, there is then not unusual for it to be passed on to both grandparents' children and then on to their offspring, who are the cousin. On average, if you're a carrier, then there's a 1/8 chance, 12.5% chance, that your first cousin would also be carrying that gene.
Did you hear that now? See how the doctors have broke it down, how you can pass the mutated gene on, it's through the bloodline. And so if you have, these kids are getting double dose of this mutated gene, and that's why, it's causing problems. And they're still marrying first cousins. It just kind of, shocks me that they're still continuing this practice when they know what can happen. This next young man, he's also has it. He's doing a little better than the first young man we saw, but he's also suffering as well.
Asmat helps out in his mum's school and baby wear shop. When he's not at college, he works on the shop floor, deals with customers and mans the till.
I'm very protective over Asmat. He's more like I would say, 14-year-old than an 18-year-old, mentally,
Stanis.
The community does feel that it's being targeted all the time at the minute, whether that be through the prevent agenda, forced marriages, first cousin marriages now, and the community is battening down its hatches and not wanting to engage, not wanting to, share their experiences, and it does feel like, we're drowning in all sorts of attacks here.
I don't see any reason, any high prevalence of a particular disease in Pakistan where people have been marrying from centuries with the first cousins.
It's scientifically, there's an evidence that, children are being born with disabilities from first cousin marriages. If that is true and evidence is there, then obviously identifying the issue and then basically raising awareness amongst the communities, that is something I feel needs to happen.
They should talk about it, but it's how you talk about it. You should make it a general thing rather than targeting.
Now you see, this is what always gets me about people, and sometimes we get so caught up in tradition that we're not able to move on. We're not able to move to the next step. You find that in the church, you find that in our homes, our community, that sometimes we just stick to some tradition, even though it may not be good for us. And obviously this tradition of marrying within the family so close is not really good, because the effects, are coming out through the children. And I don't know why they want to continue to ignore the fact that marrying first cousins, marrying your first cousin is not a good idea. So, I just, it just amazes me that they're still we need to discuss this. They're seeing it. I mean, they're living in it, in their communities, and the children are suffering. And, man, I mean, come on, guys. This is something that it's enough scientific information out there that shows that this is just not a good idea. So I'm gonna go up a little bit. Let me see here. Let me play this.
Because there's just not a thing you can do.
Did you decide to have a third child? Was that planned?
Well, we went through, obviously, genetic counselling, what they call it. Because obviously we wanted to know, can we have any more children?
For that test for you was absolutely essential.
It was, yes.
It
was vital. There was no way we was going to even, have another child if there was no test out there. that could help. And obviously I just would have stuck at Nathan and that would have been it. So,
and now you've got two very healthy
I've got
kids.
two very healthy boys.
Do you think that people who are cousins and are thinking about getting married and at some point having children, do you think they should test themselves at that stage?
Definitely. Absolutely. It will save them so much heartache in the long run. At least then they know that they are going to have a healthy child.
For couples like Wayne and Sonia, going through counselling helps establish risks and offers possible solutions. The option of a termination or IVF to implant a healthy embryo. But only 40% of genes causing recessive disorders can be tested for, meaning that genetic counselling has its limits. And yet, there is no national public health campaign about cousin marriages. The risks are not taught in schools, and there is no government leafleting campaign in hospitals or doctors' surgeries, as there would be about other diseases affecting children. The last big campaign on cousin marriages was 13 years ago in Birmingham, when the health risks were brought to public attention. Dr. Jackie Chambers, the Director of Health in the city, explains how some British Pakistanis opposed the initiative.
What was the reaction to your campaign at the time?
Well, I think the reaction was quite mixed. We did get some support from some religious leaders and from some communities. And for about 2 years, we were, within the context of promoting healthy mothers and healthy babies, getting some awareness of the message about the additional risks. We found out subsequently that there was also quite a hostile undercurrent. People were tearing up our leaflets, and they were also putting
Now, right here, as you can see, the doctor is trying to make awareness for what is going on with people are marrying first cousins and so forth, even brothers and sisters. And they were fighting back, and they're still fighting against it because people want to do what they want to do. And, you know, you have free will. You can do what you want to do. But we have to remember, guys, that there's always a consequence. You know, there's always a reaction to whatever we do, to the action. So we have to think about it. The children here are the ones that's really suffering. I missed a part. I don't want to go there. But the children, the sad thing is that the children don't, you know, they don't normally live long. I want to go back and show you guys this. And then I'm going to show you another video of the kids. I'm going to go back a little bit.
So, a lot of medicines. I've got to keep. If I don't have them, then I can feel a bit weird sometimes, not myself. So it's important that I have them.
When Azmat was first diagnosed, his doctors told Parveen that his rare liver condition was hereditary. By marrying her first cousin, she and her husband increased the chances of passing the disease onto their children.
So after his transplant. Oh, bless him. It was when he was born. Just he wasn't drinking his milk and things and he was lethargic. Sort of did some tests, you know, that's when they found out when there was something not right. Well, at first they said there was no cure. And then, because I kept pushing it, whenever time I went to the clinic, I said, there must be something you can do. And they said, well, we can try a liver transplant, but it's not 100% guarantee it's going to work.
Azmat's rare condition is progressive and his body is slowly deteriorating.
This one's more weaker. It's just like wearing out. I don't know what to do if it started getting worse. Like, you know, you have pains and stuff, and that, as you can see, that's a bit smaller. This arm's a bit smaller, but whereas this feels more stronger. Like sleeping and stuff, when I sleep on the side, it could hurt sometimes. Like my mum has to massage it all the time.
Oh, that's sweet, isn't it? Thanks. Did you make it yourself?
Yeah, I made it myself.
Did you manage?
Yeah, I managed to make it.
Oh, cool. They haven't been doing liver transplants that long in children for them to know how long will it it will last. But I try not to think about that.
Cousin.
So you can see here, guys, that you know, it's hard. I mean, it's really devastating on the children when this genetic gene is passed on to them, and it's a couple of different, as we see, diseases here that they encounter, but you know, it affects everything, and they usually don't live long. Um, you know, and they suffer. The young man is in pain. I suffer with chronic pain, so I can empathize with what he's going through. It's something to be in pain every day, and then to be that young, and your body starts to, you know, just give in. And this is all because you married within your family. You married a cousin. You know, and to me, I'd be like, and I know it's tradition for them. That's what I'm talking about. When people don't want to break tradition, but I would be, man, I'd be fighting, you know, to not marry my cousin. I mean, come on, guys. The world is not that small where, you know, um, there's not enough to go around where you have to just marry within your family. Um, go across the street, get the other people's cousin. You know, I'm just making light, but it's really not funny. It's a serious thing, and I want to show you this as well. Um, we have known in history, throughout history, that there have been cousins, I mean, cousins. And I found this little clip um, that I want to show you guys. Let me turn it down before it comes on. But yeah, it's been throughout centuries, you know, that people have married into their family, but we'll see that that there's all kind of conditions. Now, what I'm about to show you now is there's a family that's in Kentucky, one of the most famous families in Kentucky, that they're because they married so close in family that their skins actually turned blue. So I want to show you guys this, and it's like, wow. I don't know if any of y'all used to, watched um oh oh shoot, I can't think of the name of the show. Uh with the dragon. Oh, Game of Thrones. And in Game of Thrones, you know, especially this new series, the series that's out, Game of Thrones, you see that the uncle winds up marrying his niece, and they have all these different children. And back in the day, especially in royalty, they did it all the time because they wanted to so-called keep the bloodline pure. So we had a lot of deformities from that as well. Even in well, I'm gonna show you the clip, and y'all tell me what you think. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the notification so you'll know when I come on with some of these crazy stories, and also when I come on with some of the updates in the financial arena. So check this out, guys. Anyways, you're not gonna believe this. Watch this. Let me go ahead and share, guys, because I tell you, so much happening in the world today. Here we go.
You might be wondering who on earth created the Smurfs in real life. This is actually not Papa Smurf, nor is this makeup. In 2008, the world met Paul Carrison, a man who physically turned blue after drinking and using massive doses of colloidal silver, a once popular home treatment. However,
now I'm just showing you this guy. He did not turn blue from incest, but there's a family that did. But I want you to see, this is what the family members looked like. They didn't have a really good picture of them, but this is what the family looked like, and it was because of them intermarrying incest in their families. So check it out.
there is another group of blue people that we are most interested in. During the 1800s in Kentucky, when the Mississippian culture was in full swing around western and central Kentucky, a French man by the name of Martin Fugate, who was also an orphan, came to the place somewhat around 1820. There he met Elizabeth Smith, and both of them ended up marrying each other. After marriage, they both settled in Hazard, Kentucky during the same year in 1820. Hazard was a very isolated area surrounded by mountains and tough topography. The only way to and out of the place was along Kentucky North Fork River, or by a gruesome hike along the mountainous trails. Because of this, outside communication and visitors were very much a rarity.
Now here the Fugates lived up in the mountains. They were mountain people. Used to be a show out where I can't think of the name of that show, guys. You know, you get older, you can't think like you used to. But it was a mountain people, and on the show, and they showed how they married in, because they stayed in that little community of their cousins. Everybody was kin. And the Fugates did this as well up in the mountains. And because of the genetics and everything was so close, some of them were born blue. Isn't that crazy? I'm gonna go up a little bit.
To become blue in color. Due to the remoteness of the township of Hazard and its lack of communication and touch with the rest of the world, it was a custom for people to intermarry with each other. The probability of you meeting someone from outside the town to marry was unimaginably slim. Who can blame them when you really think about it? It's something weird and mysterious, and people are pretty much insensitive even today. In the 1800s, however, things were not much different. Having people with blue skin was something that made people ponder over what they actually are. Some thought of it as a sign from God, while others, given his profession, an expert went his time specifically in the University of Kentucky, where a hematologist by the name of Madison was working. Given his profession, he started perusing blue fugates. He searched all over and spent a lot of time during the whole endeavor, but eventually got the fruits of his labor. While addressing the same too, he talks about of the blue fugates that he met in the past, and tells the magazine how they were blue as hell. Madison later explained how he was able to find out that they both did not suffer from any heart disease or any other blood-related issues, excluding the coloring, of course. He further explains how when he sat down with the two siblings, they recalled both the affected and the unaffected family members and dated all the way back to the origin of it all, Martin and Elizabeth Fugate. After carefully examining both the siblings, he later deduced that their blood lacked the capability of turning methemoglobin into hemoglobin, thus giving them their distinct characteristics. Upon further research, he was able to trace back to Martin and his wife Elizabeth Fugate and how the landlocked area of Hazard influenced intermarriages.
Now you see, guys, right there. You see that? The problem was, again, marrying within the family, and the Fugates, man, because they married within their families, they had this genetics where they turned blue. Can you believe that? They were blue, actually blue. Now they did say later on, and you can look up the Fugates. They did say later on that the doctor found whatever the gene was that wouldn't break down the methanol in their blood. He found something. I forgot what he gave them, but he gave them a medicine to help them break that down, and so they did come back to their color as long as they took this medicine. But you know, incest is something else. I had another piece. I think this is it. Wait a minute. I had another piece. Let me see if I can pull that up. That I want to show you guys. Oh, this is not the one. Yeah, this is it. Let me go back. I want to show y'all this, but what do you guys think? I mean, come on. I mean, you know, like I said, it's not practiced a lot here, but in Pakistan, that is really real. That is really what's happening with them with this incest thing, guys. Now I know we got some over here to do it, but you know, it's normally in the rural areas, and if they do, they're not. Most people are not going to tell in the United States. But I just thought this was amazing that in this day and time, this is still going on, and with all of the research that we have, people are still not believing that it's not good for you to marry and have children within your own family. It's just not. I'm going to show this last piece, guys, and then I'm going to be out of here. Please hit the like button. Please share. Make sure you turn on your notifications and look up some of this for yourself. It's really interesting stuff, you know. And like I said, it's interesting, but also it's sad because you know that the people and the children that are catching these genetic diseases are suffering. So we'll pray for them and wish them the best. But I just thought this was interesting to share with you guys. I'm going to share this little piece and then we're out. So check this out. And then we're going to be out of here. And you know me, I'm always going to be coming at you with something new. Because that's what I do. Check this out.
The Habsburg Jaw. In 13th century Germany, the royal Habsburg family took power. Their rule extended to many European kingdoms, but they are most famous for their monarchy in Spain, for various jaw-dropping reasons. They were a close-knit family, to say the least, and they did not want any outside interference to threaten their power. Throughout their Spanish reign from 1516 to 1700 CE, only 2 out of 11 marriages weren't incestuous.
So that's how it is in their family.
As their lineage grew, so too did their jaws. Not in the flattering Zac Efron way. This particular genetic feature, known as mandibular prognathism, leads to symptoms like a protruding jawline, misalignment of teeth, and difficulty breathing, swallowing, and talking. It's a condition that affects only 2 to 4% of adults around the world, but for the Habsburgs, it was much more common. The most famous Habsburg by far was King Charles II. He was the product of 16 generations of family inbreeding.
Wow.
And, well, it showed. Poor young Charles didn't speak until he was 4 years old due to his deformed jaw. He was short, weak, and impotent. To make matters worse, he had constant stomach problems and suffered from epilepsy and developmental delays. He produced no heirs and died when he was only 38. Autopsies reveal that his lungs were corroded, his intestines were rotten, and his head was full of water. But he's not the only royal to suffer from a horny family.
Horny? Yeah, crazy horny.
King Tut's disease. When his golden tomb was discovered in 1922, the legendary pharaoh King Tutankhamun became a worldwide phenomenon. Despite all the grandeur, his reign and life in Egypt were short. Tut ascended the throne at only 9 years old, but passed away at the age of 18 with no heirs to his name. His death puzzled scientists for decades, with theories ranging from a chariot crash to murder. But years later, molecular genetic analysis and thousands of CT scans revealed a different story. Accounts regaled him as a handsome... In truth, he was a physically deformed teen who had to walk with a cane. With Tut's parents keeping it all in the family, his ancestral lineage was the cause of his predicaments. He had a clubbed foot from Kohler's disease, a rare genetic disorder that leads to foot bone necrosis. He also used neck spray due to Klippel-Feil syndrome, and a raging malaria infection to top it all off. If your family tree resembles a pyramid, like Tut's did, your odds of hereditary conditions for generation. Even diabetes. Number 5, neonatal diabetes. One of the most fatal consequences of generational inbreeding is Walcott-Rollison syndrome, or WRS, an incredibly rare genetic form of diabetes. While type 1 diabetes affects about 8.4 million people around the globe, WRS has been reported in only 100 children to date.
Wow.
The rise is due to mutations in the EIF2AK3 gene, which can affect your body's cells and their ability to respond to stress. As a result, several symptoms can occur, including permanent diabetes, abnormal bone development, liver failure, and developmental delays, to name a few. 25% of all cases of WRS have come from children of consanguineous marriages. That's a fancy term for sharing the same ancestor. Number 4, Huntington's disease.
This is a rough disease.
Huntington's disease is an extremely rare condition affecting about 3 out of 100,000 people worldwide.
Wow.
The debilitating disease causes your nerve cells to break down over time, making you slowly lose function over your body. This terrible affliction strikes people in their 30s and 40s and features a range of symptoms, from twitching and trouble swallowing to poor memory recall and impulse control. It also has a high likelihood of obsessive-compulsive disorder, depression, and bipolar disorder. Sadly, life expectancy to 30 years. Isolated communities and villages near Lake Maracaibo have been affected by Huntington's. It is believed that over 200 years ago, one woman who carried mutation settled in the village and gave birth to 10 children. After 2 centuries of interbreeding, now 1 out of every 10 people in the area have the disease.
Before I go on
3.
to number 3, can you imagine that? 1 out of every 10 people? I mean, in the community with that disease, it's a horrible, horrible disease, guys, and it's all because of inbreeding. It just blew my mind, guys. That's why I thought this was interesting and wanted to share it. Let me keep going so y'all can see the rest of this.
Hemophilia. Queen Victoria was the grandmother of modern Europe, and for good reason. 9 of her children and 42 of her grandchildren married into royal families across Europe, spreading their rule over Germany, Russia, and Spain. While Queen Vic's descendants were taking powerful positions across European empires, the British monarch passed along an unknowing gift to her progeny: hemophilia B. People with hemophilia B bleed longer than usual and are more prone to bruising and internal bleeding. The Queen's son, Prince Leopold, the Duke of Albany, passed away from a brain hemorrhage after taking a spill. Her young grandson also died from internal bleeding after falling out of a window, and several other descendants suffered similar blood-related fates. It gets deleted by a mutation. The protein can lead to a host of problems. These can include intellectual disabilities, trouble sleeping, seizures, and more. For some, it can result in a small skull and abnormal curving of the spine. But the most bizarre symptom of all is constant laughing and a happy personality. While it's rare, the chances increase keeping it in the
Now I'm
family.
going to skip on up to this one community where it's in Africa, where they've interbreeded in the tribe so much that it has caused a serious deformity. Guys, you might have heard of this before. Check this out.
Much like a bird's foot, SHFM is quite rare. Only around 1 in 90,000 people are at risk of the disorder. But in the case of the Vedoma tribe, the prevalence is much higher. Their laws prohibit marrying outsiders from other tribes. As a result, about 1 out of 4 Vedoma children are born with fused toes or fingers. Throughout history, inbreeding was used as a means of keeping bloodlines strong. But in many cases, it had the opposite effect, especially over several generations of incestual hanky-panky. But despite the risks, marrying within the family is still a common practice in some areas of the Middle East.
Now, see, in Pakistan, they said like 65% of the marriage are still between cousins with all of this, guys. It kind of just blew me away. So I wanted to share this with you guys. See what you think about it. See if it blew you away. Go ahead and make your comments. I will always answer you back. Please hit the like button, guys. We're trying to build this channel. Go ahead and share this. Share some of this information. Share it with your friends and your family so we can keep this thing going. I really enjoy talking to you guys and just bringing y'all some information that you may not know. So just share it and come back. Now, I got another clip I'm going to do, and I'll probably post it right after this one. Just a quick update on some things that are happening. But guys, I wanted to share that. I found it interesting. I hope you did too. Like I said, I'm going to continue with our talk on polygamy. And so please hit the notification bell so you'll know when I'm coming on with these little shorts information. All right, guys. As always, I love you guys. I enjoy being with you guys. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And hey, hit me up tomorrow and see what we're talking about. All right, guys. Talk with you later.